Oh, hi guys, it's me. We are here after an awesome Twitter chat that just finished up. Although to be honest, people are still tweeting all over the place. So after we're live here, we're going to have to go back and catch up again. And as usual, we are starting our broadcast laughing because right before we went live, Jeff made me laugh by acknowledging my fun little dance that I did.
Yeah, you're busting.
So, whatever. I like to dance. I like to move. So, Jeff, give me your reaction. How are you feeling after this chat?
Super fired up. And I think it was amazing, all the perspectives, a lot of old school, new school, my school, your school, the word compliance. What do you mean by awesomeness? And it was really cool. Yeah. It brought out a lot of good thoughts.
Yeah, I love a chat that has, I say this to Ray all the time. I love a chat that has some level of conflict.
And that's what I saw, Tiff. I saw that conflict, and I even thought of you. Like question 3, I'm like, Tiffany's dying in this chat right now.
Because I love it. I really love it because, there are so many chats that, it's like everybody's saying the same thing. And to some extent, that's to be expected because a lot of educators on Twitter are on Twitter because they're trying to continuously improve and they're open to new ideas and all of this. But when you can tap into a topic or an issue that causes some of that discord, I think it's better learning for everybody. And so when we have when I design chats, it's always looking for some kind of conflict. So that was really good.
Yeah. I like to be able to respectfully disagree with people and ask them why, and share your thought, because I have no understanding of your point of view. Work with me, brother, sister too.
Absolutely. There is nothing more satisfying to me than having somebody who challenges my thinking. Ray, I mean, we talk about this on the Teach Better team all the time. We've got you, me, Jeff, Chad are Jeff isn't education, but the guy has learned so much about education. Not you, Jeff, other Jeff. We have a lot of Jeffs. But we love our dynamic so much because we are constantly pushing each other to new levels. Let me take a minute. I want to see some people who left some comments right now. Mark Levine.
Hey, Mark.
Awesome chat, made you smile. Rumor has it, Mark, that you weren't actually in our Facebook group until today. Which is
you're
crazy.
Fired.
So anybody watching this video, if you are not in the Facebook group, the Teach Better Team group, you need to get over there because there's lots and lots of conversations, lots and lots of resources shared. So thanks for finally joining the club, Mark. Come on now. And then we have Neil, who is actually moderating a chat for us in a couple weeks. Neil says hi. Happy Thursday, Neil. In a couple weeks, you'll be in the hot seat. It'll be good time. Susan. This is a great chat. Susan loves chats. We love Susan. It's all good. Susan, Jeff, do you know Susan or know of her?
Not off the top
I will
of my head,
officially introduce you. No, don't be sorry. She's a first-year teacher, brand new. She's from Illinois, went to the same college that Ray went to. And she is just pushing herself constantly to be better every single day. So
love it.
So that's Susan. And then we have Megan Lee, lots of strong opinions and discussions, which is awesome.
We were just talking about that, Megan. Love it.
Mark Levine said, I just quit.
No, don't quit, Mark. We love you. You're not quite fired. You're just on probation. It's fine.
Okay. Anyway. Okay. So Ray, let's go to you. How are you feeling after this chat?
I thought this chat had so much value. And Jeff, that's what I told you I thought this chat was going to be. I'm so glad you brought it. I think that there was a lot to debate, which allowed for kind of these rabbit holes of conversations. Tiffany, we talk about this all the time, that we participate in a Twitter chat, and you and I have completely different experiences. And I'm guessing this chat, at least it felt like to me, was the same thing, because you had people that spent the entire chat debating compliance, like the word, which was fascinating. And then we had, side conversations on how compliance can be a positive versus how compliance can be a negative. And then you had all the people responding to the questions, which then has their own avenues. So I just loved that there was a dynamic feel about this chat. And I enjoyed that people felt comfortable sharing their thoughts and actually having discussions off of these differing opinions, because that is where I find the real value in Twitter.
Absolutely. Real quick, Mark says he's going to be the Jeff Kubiak next week. He is moderating next week, and then Neil Gupta the week after.
Mark, do we need to have like a rose for my little Valentine? Or
yeah, Mark, you're on Valentine's Day. You better have a, loving.
I completely forgot next week was Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Right, I have to get Valentine's for Kaya to bring to school. Can't forget that. That's what Valentine's means when you're a parent.
Oh, yeah.
Neil Gupta asked Susan, what's your Twitter handle? And everybody
Susan,
in the world knows.
I want it too now.
That's what it is. Yep. Susan, I'm not going to try and say your last name.
Totally.
Jehemiak.
Jehemiak.
It is?
Let me know, Susan, if that was right. I've been practicing for over 2 years. Let me know. Seriously.
Jehemiak. Well, I think she's one of my people. It sounds very Polish to me.
It is Polish.
I like it.
She speaks Polish. We can do a whole thing on Susan.
And then Mark says that he's bringing chocolate, flowers, and wine.
Aww.
Mark, I'm not quite sure how you're going to do that through Mastery Chat, but I will expect them on my doorstep next Thursday. Thank you very much. I like Merlot and dark chocolate.
Ooh, awesome. Look at you.
Okay, so now that we're like completely off track, because I mean, what else is new, Ray, when we go live? Jeff, was there any question that had like a really, really great response, or a question that maybe went a different direction than you expected, or just what was interesting to you?
Well,
an interesting moment.
I thought it was good when the question, I can't remember which number, but what's an area, that you are seeing students grow in their awesomeness and without being too compliant or something. And so I'm trying to find that question, doggone it. But it was really cool to keep saying like, well, students are still awesome. And okay, so it was what is one way you can help students reach awesomeness without forcing them to comply? Number 4. And and a couple of people are like, well, they're still awesome and they're following all. And we're like, no, well, what's awesome to you? Are they having student voice? Are they getting flexible seating and things like that? And so it was, I think, the lack of like voice to voice, so interpretation, like email, etc. But and then the last one too had a lot of people thinking, what can I go do to someone and say, hey, Ray, why don't you come check out my room and see what we're doing? And that's a big risk for people, right?
It is, and it's something that I wish. Yeah, I wish teachers were more, as a general rule, open to just looking, right? Like, come in my classroom, or let me go in yours, or let's just have this like really open door approach to it. And Jeff, no, go ahead, Ray. Go.
No, I would say we talk on that a lot in terms of Tiff. I think you made those beautiful posters that we have at teachbetter.com under free stuff. It's those Observe Me posters.
Yes.
And my school has actually started them, but that's not new. Like, go get a poster, go get a sheet of paper, write #Observe Me on it, and you're a part of the movement, right? The whole concept of the best PD that you've ever needed could be down the hall. But you have to be eager and willing and open to go in and take something away from that experience. And so that movement is so important. And I know that we've touched on it, just skimmed the surface at teachbetter.com. But I think there's so much power.
Well, and one of the questions. Sorry, no, go Jeff. I talk way too much. You go. You're the star.
Why? So, we have we have an empty pineapple chart at school, and it's very rarely someone will put up their sticky note, 9:30, I'm doing this. And I think it's just like, I don't know, do I want Ray to come in and watch me? Is she going to look at me like, God, that sucks? Or is she going to, hey, Jeff, this was epic, but you know what? Hey, try this because it worked for, just like, but people are so afraid of being critiqued instead of like, we're on the same bloody team, man. It's all for the kids. So,
well,
and I think that goes into us inviting community members in, right? Tiff, we talk about this, and Jeff, I know we've even had this discussion that when you invite people in, their teachers are so concerned they're inviting in criticism, and that is just not the case. If you are building the right network surrounding you, right? You invite in people and they start seeing the magic of education, the magic that you're creating. And sure, you can ask for feedback, but you can also just allow them to feel the energy that you've built for your students in your classroom.
Totally. It's like the little Pillsbury guy, the magic of popping fresh dough. It's like, watch me grow.
Yeah. I love analogies,
guy.
and that's a great one. That's awesome. Yeah, well, and it's this whole scary thing of like bearing, like, teaching is so personal, and people who are teachers, many of them, I would say most of them are just, they really care about what they do for the most, like, I mean, sure, there's some that really don't, but most of them really care about what they do. And we're also really concerned that we're doing right by our kids. And so we fear that judgment and that criticism. And so it's this protective bubble. And when you throw in stress, it's February and it's still cold. Oh, but wait, it's raining for 10 days straight, but now it's ice again. And when you throw in the stressors of life on top of that, we close off this bubble. The flexible seating question, Jeff, I thought is one that kind of touched on that same idea. I love the direction you took that with what would you say to a teacher who like really didn't want to try flexible seating, who was very much into the rows and the desks. And we do a lot of work with working with teachers and working with districts and training them, right? And when you're proposing new ideas, you can't come in and say, comply with this new idea. The same way when you go in and you say to your students, comply with exactly X, Y, and Z because I said so, you're not going to get the buy-in and it's not going to work. So with flexible seating, if you try and go to a teacher and say, okay, now you have to do flexible seating because everybody's doing flexible seating and it's great and kids love it, that's not going to get you the progress you need. You've got to build a relationship. You've got to meet a teacher where they are. You've got to go step by step. And I would even argue if flexible seating is the goal that you want this teacher to get to, don't even talk about flexible seating for 6 months. Talk about get to where they are. And I think that's what's so important about that flexible seating question, because you can't just say, here's a bunch of flexible seating stuff. Now go do it.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the point of this whole chat is that you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many comments.
Brings in the student voice. It brings in the voice and choice, right? And so.
Well, you got to get to that okay maybe zone, right? You got to get them to have a relationship with you where they're like, maybe you have value, and then you add in all the value.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I missed like a ton of comments when we were just chatting there. So real quick, you were right, Ray. You said her name correctly. Congratulations.
Oh, I feel like I just won an award.
Jeff Gargus says, great chat, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
And then he proceeds to say hi to pretty much everybody and their cousin. Hi, Susan, Mark, Neil, Megan, and hi, Ray and Tiff. Best for last.
Probably.
And then they all said hi to Jeff. These are very, very deep. And Jeff? I don't even know.
Let's assume it's you, Jeff.
Okay, now here's one that's actually like about the chat topic. Stress closes us up and makes us feel less self-trust, so we fall into compliance, human condition. It's the constant struggle, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tammy says her admin is highlighting teachers and having them share something they're doing. Happens about once a month. So I like that very purposeful, maybe the staff isn't ready for open doors all across the school, observe me movement, etc. Maybe what they're ready for is, hey, I'm doing this, give it a shot.
I think it's important to talk about if you are going to start highlighting teachers, which by the way, I am a huge advocate for celebrating teachers. Also, like the conclusion of that should be one quick tip that somebody who isn't being highlighted or isn't doing this thing can start doing. And it has to be a tip that isn't go raise thousands of dollars to do flexible seating. It needs to be know anybody donating a couch, reach out and post on Facebook. It needs to be something like, I've got $10 if you want to buy your first item, right? Like small, like a very small tip. That way, a teacher that needs that bite-sized piece is able to pull and start making a change. It has to be manageable for somebody who's resistant.
Yeah, and we have to build the gotcha versus I got your back, right? So
absolutely.
Coming into a new school, it's like, you know what? I want to go hang out and watch what you're doing. And I'll cover your class. I'll do anything for you to go see one. I'm not a gotcha guy. Just like, go do it. And that's, but a lot of people are afraid of that administrator coming in.
I know.
Scripted curriculum and all that, right? So
that's what we have to get past.
Yeah, if we're not there together, then yika.
Right.
Where are we going to go?
Well, and I also want to mention for having that highlighting teachers thing, I think there's also something that tends to happen in a lot of schools, that a handful of teachers get highlighted all the time. And I would just hope that, just like in our class, we know that there's some students who are always going to have something to contribute that's meaningful to the class. But there is just as much value in helping build up the other students who maybe are falling a little bit to the corners of the room, to the shadows. And admin and anybody trying to highlight cool things teachers are doing, don't just highlight the teacher of the year. Highlight Susie down the hall and this person over here and just everybody, and maybe even reach out to those people first, because everyone knows, oh, you're going to ask so-and-so because she always gets asked to do everything and you love her, right?
Yeah.
So don't you think that's, Tiff, this has just been a theme of my past 2 weeks traveling to conferences and being all over, is this theme of teachers forgetting that teachers are students, right? When you're working to achieve anything in a school, when you're presenting at a conference, when you're networking with somebody, there's so much value in having understanding that your colleague down the hall is just like the students in your classroom. You need to teach to them a certain way, you need to facilitate learning a certain way, you need to build relationships a certain way. And just because they're older and taller and wearing more professional clothing, these strategies are so important to utilize. And even just on Twitter, there are powerful things that we could do that we naturally do with our students, we forget with our colleagues. So great value there, and I'm excited with all the answers that I've heard to this chat. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Ray, I think you and I could talk for literally hours on end about our experiences training teachers and how you sit in front of a classroom of teachers and you're sitting in front of a classroom of middle school kids. I mean, really, that's what it is. They are
they're all like
different, if not worse, right? If not worse. But just like I love teaching middle school kids, I love teaching teachers too. It's the same flavor. So we are like super off the topic of the chat. I mean, I think it's all connected. Hang on, we've got some really great comments. I know this is a lot of stuff. So Megan says there's other teachers doing amazing things. Oh, hang on, I've got to call out Jeff. Not you, Jeff, other Jeff. Jeff said hi to everybody except Tammy. Tammy, we honor you and say hi to you.
Hello, Tammy.
Yeah. Chuck loves your idea about like a single takeaway. I know, love Chuck. But like a bite-sized little niblet of like, hey, here's this thing I'm doing. Now here's this 30-second idea that you can take.
Hey, Tiff, don't you think that's like a forefront of the new course coming out later this month?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you just like, boom.
Oh, look at you little carrot danglers.
Little thing. There's just a little, the whole bite-sized piece needing to support teachers. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be good. I know. And who's making that course, Ray? I think it'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Anyway, more information coming. I'm sure you'll hear more about it in the next couple of weeks at Mastery Chat. There are just so many great comments tonight about how we can build this collaboration and build this shared learning together. And I just love all of that. That's really great.
Yeah.
So Jeff, is this what you envisioned how the chat would turn out? Like, you're seeing all these comments, you're hearing all this feedback. Is this, when you were designing the questions, is this what you were aiming for?
This is what I hoped for. I think.
Oh, good.
I'm like a boundary pusher, no status quo guy, and so I always upset the apple cart. And I think I'm not effective or doing my job if I'm not. And so, we have to have that dialogue respectfully. I'm not going to just rip your head off, but you know what? Hey, if I don't agree with you, let's figure out why, and that's cool, So yeah, I was super electrified.
Good. Oh, I think there were so many good conversations that started, and I'm going to spend at least the next couple days going through and looking at all of the comments. I actually love it because the day after the chat, I always run like a report of who participated, and I can literally see like every tweet from the entire mastery chat. So I'm always like geeking out in my own like little office with my computer, like, yeah, that's so cool. I love it. So I get to relive all of that goodness. Rachel just brought up, does anybody else do a pineapple chart or hashtag observe me? And yes. Jeff mentioned he has a pineapple chart, working on getting some things filled in there, right? Bit by bit.
Oh yeah. Yep. And it's unfortunately it's been the same teachers that are the ones that put themselves out there. But last week I gave huge shout outs to a couple teachers that took a chance and did it, to watch an ELD lesson. And it was like, fired up. Yeah. So it was cool.
Well, and Rachel, this would be an awesome question either for our Teach Better Team private group or for Twitter, because I'm confident there are people doing it that are willing to share their stories about that.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll post the link to those Observe Me posters, Ray. That free download. Okay. Yeah. So, Jeff, I really honestly feel like Ray and I could sit here and chat with you for hours on end because we have a lot to talk about. But I think we should wrap up this conversation unless either of you guys have a final thought. Hang on. We have to look at what Mark just posted. Mark says, so many mastery chats can be published as books in a series. Hey, Mark, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. No, Jeff, before we go, I really want to make sure that we kind of highlight all the things you're doing. I know that we didn't really let you say really what your role is in education. So I'd like to kind of backtrack a little because I know you're not only doing a lot right now, but you're working on a lot in your, career. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit, that way those of you that are listening are able to also connect with Jeff on the other outlets that he is currently killing.
Good call, Ray.
I just feel like I'm a guy, I'm a dad. I joined, Rick Ruggetter and Rebecca Coda's, Push Boundaries Consulting Group. So I'm looking forward to doing some work in there. I got my first children's picture book in the trenches with Sarah at EduMatch. Super fired up. That should be out in May. It's called One Drop of Kindness. Really excited about that.
Give myself a copy. I have children.
Dude, given.
It's really good. I have maybe seen it, and it's great.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm super fired up. And I just, I try to be connected. I want to write more. I love blogging. I love every single kid. I'm a champion for the kid that is invisible or is the target by teachers at school, because I was that guy. And I have two amazing kids and just digging what I do. I had jury duty today. Boop, boop.
Doing your duty. I love so much that every single week we have more people that we pull into this little world of educators going out there trying to change the world of teaching step by step, day by day, person by person. And it is, I have chills. I'm such a geek, right? I'm going to tear up because I'm just that nerdy, but I just love so much that we can all connect on this level and that we have people that sit here and watch us on Thursday nights as we gab about just loving what we do and pushing boundaries. So Jeff, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, for sharing your story with us. And we always say, once you're in the Mastery Chat family, you never, ever, ever get to leave. So you're with us forever now, Jeff. Okay.
I'm just blessed. You guys are two of my real edu heroes, and I just really appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity. It was awesome.
Thank you, Jeff. You need to let me know when your book is published so I can get a copy for my kids. Okay.
Oh, you'll be there. Signed, sealed,
awesome.
Delivered with love.
Love it.
All right, you guys have a great night.
We're going to scooch out of here. Have a really good night. Thank you again, Jeff. We'll see you all next week with Mark.
My pleasure. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.